Greetings, fellow slinging agents in the wild. It's your trusted liaison, Brian, welcoming you back once again to the show. And I have for you a raw intro to go with the raw after action report for this latest season, Acquired Taste. But before we begin, of course, we've got some comments, or actually a comment, and it's kind of a big one. It's from our good listener, Balint Babos, who says, "Oh, and another thing, I want to ask you, would it be possible to make a separate session or squeeze in one of the epilogues, the summary of the overarching background story? I have a feeling that you, Brian, are cooking something big in the background, and it would be good even for your players to see all the hinted infos together regarding the organization, Heisenberg, and many more. Also, do you think it would be possible to get a small introduction from the characters from the players for new listeners so they would know who the players and the characters are? Thanks a lot in advance. Keep up the good work." Well, breaking this down, let's take the back half of this. I have no problem getting the players to give their intro on their characters. In fact, that'd be kind of cool. It's been a while since Sammy and Tone Dog and Junior and Chris had all got together and gave a little background on their characters, and we could even probably put something in there for Heisenberg. As far as the other part for the overarching story, I'm not going to release anything like that just yet because I want to pay off the listeners that are following us over time, because this is one of those things where I have this story that's been brewing for a couple of years, and I really want to make sure that as these things are dropping and you start learning about the agency and Heisenberg and where this is all going and how it's developing and how the individual characters themselves are interacting with the story, I don't want to give any of that away, so when you finally see what's going on, it'll really look cool. Also, one of the things that we have is I'll give you this, drop this little hint for you, is that we've got this overarching thing that's going on that will be on a 5-year plan. Now, obviously, in game terms, you're not going to see 5 years. It could be longer, it could be less, but you'll see as that starts to get dropped. Also, after this after action report, we do have the epilogue, and the epilogue is in 2 episodes, and that'll give you some more hints there, Balin. That'll kind of be dropping of what's going on. So hopefully that answers some of your questions, and we can keep running with that. So I'll tell you what, let's warm up our eyes and top off our glass as Roll the Hard 20 presents our after action report for our latest season, Acquired Taste. Thank everybody for listening. Please pass on word of mouth and enjoy this episode. Take care.
I got the shit kicked out of me by a little baby. Fucking angry fetus, man.
It was 5 feet tall by the time like 2 rounds went by, so you didn't get beat up by a baby for too long.
Dude, that thing was growing. Yeah. Well, let me lead us in, and we'll start what we're doing here. All right. Greetings, fellow slingers. Welcome back to Roll the Hard 20. It is I, your trusted handler, and with me, my hard slingers of yore.
Hell.
Yeah, our homebrew scenario, Acquired Taste, the after action report. This is the part where we break down the AP for everybody. We unpeel this onion that made us cry, and we get to go over everything. So I'm hoping my hard slingers here have some questions that they want to ask me as we start going down the line. So first and foremost, how did we enjoy this AP? Give me some feedback on this thing.
I liked it. I have some questions about Dalco. He seems to be a really old guy. Yes. I like the fact that he was a cryptid that has been propagating before. I also like the twist that when we killed him, his offspring didn't die. I thought that was a nice twist.
Yeah, I think I have it written that he's over 200 years old, and he's got quite a few offspring that are out there. So, yeah, the way that it's written in the AP is that he's a pinnacle vampire, also known as a mist walker, and he has the ability to turn into mist and float around and whatnot. But pinnacle vampires can only procreate with a mortal woman, and that's how they create more pinnacle vampires. Now, they could turn anybody into a drone, then that's kind of like what I wanted to get into with what happened to Jules and everything else, and how we unwind what went on with Dalka and Celeste Kincaid and Owen Kincaid and everything. So basically, we had you guys showing up to meet with the medical examiner in Providence, Rhode Island, because of this boy's death and the strange way in which he died. So,
would there be a story in if the vampire bit a werewolf and vice versa?
I don't see why there couldn't be. I mean, if you
I
sure.
know there could be. The question is, how plausible would it be? I mean, the movie Underworld did that, and it turned in. They had some vampire werewolf hybrid that looked like shit and a bunch of CGI. But the idea has always struck me. And so now that we
have a higher budget, though.
Well, maybe
it was. The budget of the mind is limitless.
Well, initially when you got there, and the medical examiner started going over all the wounds that this boy had sustained. He had the 2 bites at the base of the neck. He had this hole in his chest, and then he was also devoid of the white blood cells. The white blood cells being gone were a result of the bite. But he was killed with the stake first and then brought back to life with the bite. That's why stabbing him again in the chest didn't do anything, because it was already a done deal before he died.
Why'd O'Rourke punch out, what's his name? The doctor, Reeves.
He didn't. His henchmen did.
Right,
but
yeah.
They had been questioning him, basically interrogating him all evening as far as what he knew about the boy, where's the body, who's really, they were just literally pumping him for information.
Now, is O'Rourke with Heisenberg and all them, or is he separate?
He's with him.
Okay, because I remember him kind of acting secondary.
Yeah, he's kind of rides both sides of the fence, but after what Heisenberg said at the beginning about the upper command kind of being restructured, anybody that you see that's coordinating with your handler directly is probably working under that handler. So like Anna, O'Rourke, anybody else you see. So
yeah, we got both of them in this episode.
Yeah.
So he sent his men into the building and they never came out?
They never made it back out.
So Rourke's not very bright, it seems.
Adesso tried to tell him, don't do that. They didn't listen.
It's very focus-oriented. He probably does what's required to get the job done.
But he didn't. He failed.
No, he didn't.
Right?
But you know what? He didn't have to run in there. He's at the level where he could command men to do that.
Well, more importantly, he didn't know that we were telling the truth, so it makes sense why he would do it. Just glad that, well, it is what it is. We found ourselves in this situation. We executed orders, tried to advise somebody against it. They did what they did. There we are.
So now, you guys went to the Kincaid residence and you met with Detective Kershaw, and that box that was in the master bedroom closet that he brought down to the kitchen, that was this season's weapon cache. That was where you would get your weapons to do what you needed to do with this. As far as the bills that were laid out, Tone, that was really good of you to have put the phone numbers together and done what you did with that. That was really amazing. I put that in there. I'm like, I wonder if anybody will get this. And like when you started going through the number for the startup of the phone and stuff, you're like, okay. And then you started asking questions about Tanner's Goods and stuff, and you're like, wait a second, that's the same number. Like you picked up on
I'm impressed with the level of detail that you put that in there for us to find.
Thank you. It's from the brothers, man. It's from the brothers.
I was like, oh, that's good.
Up to that point, do you have any questions as well? Like even about the crime scene or Michael Collins or anything else?
Where do we know Michael Collins from? It seems like he's been a recurring character.
He hasn't. This is the first time he's appeared in this.
The name is familiar. It's a drink.
In an episode.
Yeah.
It's Tom Collins.
Tom Collins. Oh.
But his whole thing was that I think 7 months ago, while he and his wife were researching data for his latest book, he came across the advent of pinnacle vampires, and that brought him into sharp focus of Doran Dalka when he started investigating him. And the man ran an antique store in the town that I think Glastonbury is where it was at. And because he was renting a room at a hotel or a motel or whatever, it wasn't his property. So the vampire was able to come in without an invitation and basically, took Beatrice to be another basically vessel for one of his offspring. And he thought that he had killed Collins. Apparently he didn't. So when Collins had come back alive or been resuscitated or whatever, he made it his focus to try to find Dalka no matter where he was at. And this is what led him to Providence, Rhode Island. But it wasn't until what had happened at the Kincaid residence that he got onto it. So, and he'd been following like a trail from Glastonbury, Vermont, all the way down, like all these bodies that had been left behind and all this ruin that had gone. And that's how he wound up here. So he was just waiting for something to happen.
Cool.
Yeah. And we don't know we know what happened, I think, to Beatrice, but we don't know where she is or.
She's probably dead. Once he said that she had fathered a child.
Yeah, they give birth and die. Right?
Yeah, they die because they don't just come out like a normal birth. They come through the chest. So even though Odesso had killed Celeste, all that did was just make it. I mean, she was already at the end of her trimester, and she'd only been with him like a few hours. That's how fast they gestate. Like within hours, they're out and ready to move through the world.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because it's like if she was pregnant to begin with and then the vampire whammies them and makes it his baby, I was like, oh, maybe Owen had impregnated her and, all that. But if it's like he just took her and then boom, 20 minutes later, she's got twins.
Yeah, and the thing about Owen with his kids is that after Ernest had died, he was so beside himself with grief and anger that Jules suffered for that. Like the neglect of the father, the not being raised, anything. So he was ripe for Dalka to come in and take over. And so it's written that when Dalka came to the residence while Owen was gone, Jules opened the door, and then he was attacked by Dalka. And the object that he stabbed him with was one of those canes that was at the residence, at the estate. That
the broken off canes.
Yeah, that you saw at the base of the staircase. That was what he used. So, and it broke off. And,
clever.
Yeah, so, and then she came with him. Like, I knew that was one of those things, Sam, where I was telling you, yeah, once you see what happens at the end, you'll be like, this fucking broad, she sold out everybody just to do this.
Well, she thought she could, what is that called? Monkey branched. And this time she just bat flapped to a different level.
Yep. Well,
yeah. Well, there's that.
Vampirgamy.
Hypergamy. Yeah.
Vampirgamy.
Vampirgamy. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Keep going, brother.
Well, no, I didn't have anything to say other than to play off what Sam was saying. I find it interesting, although I think we need I'd like to see us do an adventure where we explore more of Sam's issues, because that would be cool. And then, or Each's issues, not so much Sam, but it's Each's issues.
No, he's got issues.
Yeah, what issues?
Sam.
Yeah. The one thing that kind of threw me at the beginning, and Each was kind of being a hard ass, was the Michael Collins guy. Game-wise, it felt like he was kind of forced on us. Like, I didn't know what to... Because normally, Each would have been like, yeah, fuck off, dude. Well, he wouldn't have said that. He would have been more polite about it.
Right.
Getting his coffee or something. But, but yeah, it was like, oh, okay. Because, like, he kind of came in really, really hard. And I was like, normally, I guess Each and Odesso probably wouldn't have allowed that. But after talking to him, like, okay, well, Yeah, like so. My comment would have been good to have him maybe just as a, like if someone else is if someone else is going to be role playing this, maybe have him as part of the contact or something, or I don't know, just something so where I can immediately go, oh, okay, well, he's our Makamura. He's going to be helping us out, because I was grilling him constantly and still not trusting him. Like I guess that's kind of cool, but
It's
normally
written
I
to
would
be
have.
that way too, though. That
But
you
normally I
don't
just
trust
wouldn't have.
him.
I wouldn't have just allowed him to go along. Like, you know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
would have fucking killed him like a fucking train conductor from Lot 27. Just, hey, let's go down this alley real quick. These your priest robes? You know?
If you had killed him, that would have sucked. But like if you had left him behind, he would have followed you to the next residence, to the Kincaid residence, and then he would have been doing some of it. Like eventually, when you went to History's Emporium, the antique store, you probably would have found him there too.
Okay.
Everywhere that you had gone, he would have been going to, and eventually you would have been, why are you following us? No, I'm not. I'm following my own leads. And it probably would have lent credence that this guy is a good investigator. He's getting shit handled. He's in step with us, if not maybe one step ahead. He's always there. So maybe it's a good idea to pool our ideas together and see where it leads us.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have to die. Like if you had said, no, I want you to come with us, he wouldn't have died. He would have stayed alive.
Oh, he would have died. He's an NPC in one of your campaigns, bloodthirsty handler. We almost died, so
What makes him
Tom
special?
Yeah, right.
Michael Collins, But yeah, no, I actually would have. If that's the case, then I if someone's playing it, then because I was worried that by, pushing him away or something like that, because this is the first playthrough of this campaign too.
Yeah.
So I think maybe had he go, okay, all right, sport, I'll see you. I'll just see you later, and then we see him again and then see him again. It's like, okay, this guy's on to something, like that could have been cool too.
Yeah, he's meant to be heavy-handed in inserting himself into the investigation, even to the point of where you think, is this guy the problem? Is he our problem that's keeping tabs on the investigation, or what's going on with him? Because a lot of killers, they'll insert themselves into an investigation just to see how far along the detectives are. So they know if somebody's getting too close, or they'll lend help or whatever. They're overly helpful. And I wanted him to come across like that, but he's really a guy with an axe to grind over the loss of his wife and what was done to him. So when Heisenberg reported back and told you that, hey, this guy's got some heavy medical bills because he was hospitalized a couple months back, and they're seeking him and questioning for the disappearance of his wife. So then you're like, well, is this guy really responsible for her? And then he started giving you his story as far as what had happened and everything. And it could have been a tall tale, but it wasn't. It was the truth, and you found that out at the end when he was dropped on his head from 3 floors up.
So here we go. In game, each is cleaning his weapon and putting his stuff away, and reaches into his pocket and finds something and hands it to Adesso. And I was like, I don't think I need this. And he hands him the picture of Sergiu Domini and Dalka. So now Adesso has something for his collection.
There we go.
I had held on to that.
That's good.
That's
awesome.
really... See, you got something after all.
I got something
Adesso.
after all, yeah.
Now, what's the story with that guy? Was that one of his drones or one of his
No,
helpers?
In fact, let me go to this really quick, and I'll kind of give you the breakdown on this. Because he's not one of his drones.
Yeah,
In
because he
fact,
was just a normal dude.
He was. He had been serving Doran Dalka for decades, since he was a young man. Like his whole family served Doran Dalka, because Dalka's 250 years old. I got it right here. And when that picture that you had of the two, that was when they were young men, and he was servant slash ride or die kind of guy. But that's how long he had known him for. It's forever. And so he would be the guy that would set up the next place that the store is going to go. He would arrange for anything that the master needed, because Sergio Domini is Latin for servant of the master.
Yeah,
and so his father's name was Sergio Domini. His grandfather's name was Sergio Domini. It's a title. It's not a name.
So the antique shop was pretty cool. Although, how did it do any business, or was that not the purpose of it?
It did no business. It was straight up. It wasn't a front. It was just a place where he'd put his stuff and he could launder things through. I guess it would be a front in that regard. But it was meant to establish some credibility of him being in Providence. You know, as opposed to, why is this guy here? How is he generating money?
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I looked at it as
so
a
look into his
thing.
finances. So
yeah, like needful things. He didn't sell anything for money. You know, like I kind of looked at it as like a shop with all the curios, but it was mostly so he could just camp there and have like a, you know.
Yeah, I guess like that. I don't think I've ever seen the movie. I think you've told me more about the book and that back during the 90s or whatever. But all the antiques that were moved in and out of the store came from his own estate. So like it would, you know, he'd rotate some of that stuff. I think I'd mentioned that if you had ever looked online, Yelped it or whatever, there are no reviews. If anything, people would say, I don't understand how the store makes any business. They're not open during the day. They're open at weird hours at night. I never see anybody in there. I never see anybody take anything out. I never see a delivery truck. You know, that's just how it is. It's there for a few, you know, months, 9 months, 12 months. Then it closes and he moves on. So
Yeah, it's funny because you had mentioned that when we were just chatting earlier, and I was laughing because I've never Yelped anything in my life. It would not even be a fucking like a thing for me to do in game because I've never done it. You know, it's like,
well, like if you just Google something, you're like, and it, you know, you get a few hits and it'll say,
what's Google? No, I'm just kidding.
well, you understand. But it's just one of those things where like you pull it up online and all the comments about the store is, how does this place do any business?
Yeah.
You know, it's never open when I want to buy a chair. If somebody happens to window shop, suddenly the door closes, or they say come back after, you know, when we're open, which is start opening at like 10 o'clock at night or something. What is that? That makes no sense. How can you do business like that? So.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny because that's like for me as a person, it's just kind of, I don't really look stuff up like businesses, like even restaurants. I'm like, whatever, you know, the woman's like, oh, we got this review. Here's the menu. I'm like, all right, let's go. You know, like,
yeah, I never do that either. I just what you got. One of the things that I thought was kind of cool was, you know, this old dude is kind of wandering around following you. And then when each went in the back room and started digging around and Adesso started moving, he like no longer was hunched over and rose to his full height and pulls out this blade, you know, and suddenly
why did you connect him with the same obsidian blade?
It was just one of those things that probably been brought in through history. Just because the Whisper of Ages used them doesn't mean that they weren't used or adopted by them.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they probably loved the knives and they adopted them into their way, but perhaps they have a deeper history than just that cult.
All right.
You know,
that's interesting.
They go deeper into the
they're
history
all
that
about
we're
blood
laying
moon
down.
shit, right?
What's that, Sammy?
They were all about the blood moon, right?
They were at the time, yeah.
And Dalka is all about blood, so there could be some common, you know, trait or something that connected it at one time. I don't know. That's kind of how I looked at it. I'm like, oh yeah, the blood moon, the blood sacrifice of the blood god, vampires, or, you know, I'm like, oh, they're all tied
Cult
together.
of Corn.
Well, we never really fleshed out who Offashell was. We never really fleshed out who Offashell was. That was who the Whisper of Ages wanted to bring back to life. That was was trapped inside that stone to begin with. So at some point when we delve into his lore and backstory, we might see where he cross-pollinates a lot of what we've been putting together in our homebrew stuff. So
Yeah, well, it's all, full moon, blood moon, lunar cycle, fucking periods, and gross, like all those witchy
cranberry
covens.
moons, and,
Yeah. Hey, wolf moon.
but yeah, just going through, looking at stuff. I was really shocked that the last episode, because when we left off on episode 5, you guys had just arrived at Dalka's estate. And I was thinking, okay, they're going to go through and they'll probably start their altercation with him. And I'm thinking, will this episode be long enough, or am I going to have to put it on the back of episode 5? I was shocked how long this past episode was.
I thought he was going to get away.
He was trying to. He would have. If you did not get him when his turn came up, he would have been out that window.
What I really like about the home brews is it feels like it allows us to be a little bit more, not loose, flexible, but creative.
Flexible.
Yeah, with what we want to do. So from now on, and we had mentioned, or we had talked about this, dear listeners, Odessa was talking about getting silver bullets. And I had mentioned, I'm like, we need to just start carrying various things. Like each will always have a silver dagger or some sort of wooden something, or, so back before I had the jack blade that is concealable, each used to go around with basically like a carry case for his martial art weapons, because his guise was he was a teacher and he would go and put on training events and do the different swords and different sword techniques and all that kind of stuff. Well, what I'm thinking now is, he's going to have the martial art weapons, but the bokens will be razor sharp wooden swords, right? The sais or the shurikens will be silver. The other ones will be, whatever it is. Like he'll have a vial of, whatever fucking energy drink and it's holy water. But he's just going to have a variety of weapons, because I had no idea if we were going to be able to hurt this guy. And I remember from my memory, things like cold steel, fire, fucking they can't cross wanting water. I don't know what a mistwalker is. I don't know what a pinnacle vampire is. I didn't know if it followed the rules of old. So I think as part of this new kind of game that we've been playing, where Odesso can, speak this ancient language, and he has these sort of fetishes from all the different things that he has, like, he's attuned to, and each has the, is still, dealing with the bite from the werewolves and other characters like Coldwell and Rice. Coldwell had the trauma with the alien and can see alien, commune with them, and they're telepathically.
Yeah.
And Rice can see like the Matrixy code shit. It's like we got our X-Men of X-Files people going. So now it's time to have the weapons reflect it. We got the cool jack blade, but each needs to have like a silver tanto or silver brass knuckles, right? And a wooden, sharpened tanto that's made out of like holly oak or, some kind of mystical, druid wood or something like that. So he's for whatever, aside from things like Sasquatch and Yeti, which are just physical beasts, we never know what we're going to be able to be running into. So something might need silver, something might need holy water, something might need mistletoe. I want to have all those things kind of covered and have this array of weapons. Maybe I wear a trench coat and have these things kind of,
like arrayed in them.
Areas. Yeah, like really start playing up that X-Men meets X-Files vibe, since we're doing homebrews now, so it's not like kind of polluting or compromising the original Delta Green type stuff, where you got these like superhuman people running around fighting monsters, where we're kind of get like that. I have 14 hit points, like I was down to 3. But we can still have that imagery associated with it, like where it's a little bit more 90s kind of cool Matrixy vibe to some of these agents that we have.
I like it when you guys get down in the points, because then it's like this shit's getting serious, because it can only go a few more rounds, because eventually somebody's going to go down, and it's looking like I'm going to go down because I only have 3 hit points left. and then you're playing the gold doubloon. And, I, as the handler, now I'm starting to roll bad, and I'm thinking, it only takes one good attack, to drain another gold doubloon. Or if you don't play it, then you're going to get it. And, we're starting to feel that rush as we're getting down to the wire. We're at the ass end of the episode, the last episode of the season, and we're in the last few minutes of it, and it's just all about... And the bad guy's trying to fly away. He's trying to get out the window. So everything's just like boom, 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 and you feel the pressure, and you guys pulled it out in the clutch, man. I was like, that's really impressive. So
that gold doubloon helped.
Yeah, and the fact that you were rolling badly helped. This little fetus was going to kill each Deso.
We were rolling kind of bad too. I mean, you came out the gates with 3 critical hits, 3 max damage, and then I'm like doing a 4 or a 2. It's like, how did I
was missing every turn.
Yeah.
And those bullets weren't doing shit to him.
That freaked me out.
Yeah. If you had used that wooden dagger that you found, that probably would have taken care of business there.
And I totally forgot about it. I got more preoccupied with that railing piece.
The banner.
Pardon?
The banister thing.
Yeah, the banister piece. And I was like, in thinking about it now, it's like, why not use the knife? It was more, prone to it.
Or the canes downstairs,
Yeah.
Well, we're just in the heat of it, dude. We just got taunted by the vampire and his fucking groupie.
Yeah.
And, we're going upstairs. I mean, I had a hard on for fucking fire, it seemed, but that actually paid off. That was a good set piece.
Yeah.
Threw it on the bed.
And I like it because it was nice to have going in the background. Like the whole room's on fire, and is this going to be a problem? It's starting to lick the walls, starting to make its way to the ceiling, and then you have that going on while he's trying to escape, and you got her dead. And next thing you know, the offspring's out. Odesso's almost dead, and then you go out, and the house is totally, getting engulfed in flames, and you got this TAC team outside. So it's just when you think you're getting out of it, there's one more level that you got to deal with. So
for whenever this becomes its own module, like maybe that's a thing in the bedroom. Like it does have these candelabras set up that on a miss or something will get knocked down. So the final setting of this will always be a flaming bedroom of burning love, for the players.
And I like that where you can't fiddle around because you've only got so many rounds. Like when you guys were on the boat at the end of Collateral.
I wish we had that in this one. Not that we needed any more drama, but I wish we had roll a D6 or D8. You got 8 rounds before this place till you're dead.
I should have done that towards the end. But you guys had a lot on your plate.
We couldn't. We were barely alive.
Yeah, you guys were barely hanging in there with what was going on. So at some point we still have to put out the epilogue or the prologue for the next season, whatever we're going to do. I actually have an idea. It's called The Beginning of the End. That's the next season that I'll be putting out, or the next scenario. Tone said that he wants to get his feet wet on one of these, so he's purchased a bunch of PDFs to see which one he's going to run us through. Be kind of cool to see Sam and I on the same side of the GM screen.
I totally thought Michael Collins, because we, listeners, we've been talking about having Tony Adesso, run one of the campaigns, either making, a new handler that we're working with or a new person. And then it would be Ryder, our current handler, and myself playing through this. So I thought he was establishing Michael Collins because he seemed like it was a really good character, like it was like a tabloid kind of, or, like not a tabloid, but like a cryptozoologist. And it was like, oh, that's kind of a cool character kit,
Well, you just didn't save him. That was the problem.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I thought he was a dick. He was very forceful. That's why he couldn't keep his woman.
He's fucking overbearing.
There we go.
The sack too. But yeah, there's something to be said for Doran Dalka's ability to garner a harem, and that is, there's just something about him and his kind that have a way of getting whatever they want. They bring women into their circle. And nobody's sacred, nobody's safe. If he wants them, and they come to him, then that's fine. Then he'll just take it.
Yeah, I like the idea that there still might be remnants of him out there that, whether they know or not, when their father passes,
Yeah.
Like, oh, father passed and made us stronger. Oh, and here's what we saw through his last dying vision.
And that's something. I mean, who knows where it'll go, or if we'll ever even play with pinnacle vampires again, or mistwalkers, or anything. Who knows? I like to keep things.
That's part of the lore.
What's that?
It's cool that it's just part of the lore. Like the Whisper of Ages has shown up multiple times. Eugene the Wise has shown up multiple times in bigger or smaller detail. And I like that. I like those little nods to stuff like that.
Well, there's a nod in this one to the beginning of the end, and I'm not going to say what it is, but you'll know when we're playing that what it was, and you'll say, "Oh," just like how you. What's that?
Pinky ring?
Yeah, that's something else altogether. That's how we're starting our agency thing. Is that'll be like the secret handshake kind of thing.
Okay, because I thought I didn't get a chance to, but I wanted to see if O'Rourke had a pinky ring with the wind symbol on it.
You could have made that observation check.
I was going to, but then we
stopped.
Lost track of time. No, it's just things go by so fast in this. There's so many things that we would have done, but it flew by too quick. Like, I would have loved to check the house, but it's on fire. I would have loved to, done this if it weren't for that. So,
and there was a whole library, which would have been cool to go through. But
I was waiting to see if you guys were going to do that, because I had set up the library, and I was thinking, okay, they got to go past it both ways, and I'll give them the opportunity to grab, 1d6 worth of books on the way out.
Oh, I wish I would have thought of that.
But you guys didn't say you wanted to do that, so I was like, okay, it's no big deal.
That's what I mean. Like, there's no time. I would have loved to have grabbed one of those canes, because that would have worked into my and then also in realist, like, that's us as Sam and Tony saying, I want to grab books and a cool ancient cane. The agents would not be doing that. They would be hightailing it. If they had 3
place is on fire. Let's get out of here.
If they had 3 rounds to get out, they would have got out on the first round and then had 2 rounds outside getting farther away, And
that's the thing, is like with these scenarios, they start off slow, and they have a slow burn, slow marinade. And then as they start working up, by the last 2 episodes, things are moving at a clip. It's like turning up a treadmill that just goes slow, and then you start increasing. Next thing you know, you're like, you're trucking down this thing, and that's what I like. I don't like jumping in super fast, because then the expectation is, well, we're rolling initiative, we're playing D&D. No, we're not. They are slow burn investigations, and it's like I said, it's always a tip of my hat to you guys to see how you follow these clues that are laid out, how you break down the investigation, how you see through some of the deception that goes on in some of these NPCs, and how they're playing you, or how they can be helpful, or whatever else. You start looking at things that other people, I don't think, would catch on. Maybe it's because you know me so well that you can see how I build certain things, but it's just really cool that you guys know to start off that it's, okay, take your time, take notes, investigate this and that. And then as things are ramping up, like I said, by episode 6 of this season, you guys were like, fuck, attack, clash, this, that, get the hell out.
It wasn't even 6, was it?
Yeah, we just did 6.
That was number 6. 5.
No, 5.
No, it was 6.
It was 6.
Okay.
Heck, I was thinking about shooting him off the balcony. Can I get a beat? I was
going to burn the house.
Yeah.
What would he have done if we just set the house aflame and waited for him out front? Would he have confronted us, or just...
Yeah, he would have flown down.
Flew away and then...
No, he wouldn't have flown away. He would have gone down on you.
Whoa. Sweet. 2020 vision, hindsight.
Well, we would have had the same conflict no matter what.
With him.
Yeah.
She was just one of those things like, get off my man, kind of. That was her attitude. And you plugged her. She took a round in the chest, and I mean, she only had...
Game over.
Let's see how many hit points she even had.
Well,
she had
11.
You did 12 points.
Damn.
The thing is I still play under the reasoning that if we do something wrong, it could affect the mission and we fail. Like we've failed on missions before. So my thinking is like, oh, well, we set fire to the house and he just like, ha ha ha, turned to mist and flew away. It's like, and then the game's over. You failed. You did not kill the guy. He's still out there. You were going to have to explain this to Heisenberg. Like, I still play these games thinking that there is that chance of a failure. And that's why I didn't want to. I wanted to burn the place because I knew that would help us. But I didn't want to risk the mission for doing that. Did the fire actually hurt him when I threw him on there?
It did like a point of damage.
Okay.
And that was
it had like a 2%.
Whatever you rolled. Well,
I rolled a 3.
So it did 3. No, it did 1 point of damage to him.
So it had mitigated 2 of it, huh?
Yeah.
And what was the gun damage getting mitigated by?
It only did 1 point of damage with the gun.
Oh wow!
Every time you shot him, it only did 1 point of damage. But if he had hit you, he has the ability to absorb some healing factors from that.
Yeah, he did that to me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was waiting. None of you guys failed the willpower.
Yeah, what happened with the eyeball?
It was kind of it says that it would control you and mess with you, and you would take so much psychic damage. I hadn't decided what it had been until you guys had failed, but I think that I would have had it similar to what you were trying to do to him. Like you shot him, you would have felt the bullet enter you. You would have felt the cut of the blade go across you. Those would have been the things that it would have been a reciprocated feeling, and it would have been psychological damage, which translates into a physical type of a damage.
Is a pinnacle vampire your thing, or is that part of the...
Mine.
Oh, okay, cool.
So.
Cool.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
Another thing I got to draw eventually.
Yeah, we got to maybe fangs,
Yeah.
Get those fangs with the glowing eyes. But yeah, there really wasn't much to clean up. Usually you guys... That's probably the only thing where you guys run into a snag at the end of the APs is cleaning up the refuge you leave behind. But the body had already disappeared out of the morgue, and they just took it out of the back of the car. As far as the bodies that were left at Tanner's Goods, Heisenberg already knew about that, so they would have cleaned that up, and everybody else is ash. So
yeah, I assume O'Rourke and his men stopped by there and cleaned it up, and then saw the fire on the hilltop. Oh,
Yeah. Well, it's possible they knew where you were going, though, too.
Yeah.
So,
the old Marston place. Mr. Barlow there.
I was really impressed. You guys did an amazing job with this. Thank you again.
Glad you liked it, brother. It was fun to play.
Awesome role players.
We need to have more of a variety of a weapon types to combat this, just in case, because we've fought aliens, we've fought lots of stuff, but not having specific things. Like I think your idea, Adesso, of just having either a magazine of silver bullets on hand or they're all silver, that's just fucking cool. That's just super cool, and
it's
then,
like, forget the hollow points, forget the specialty. I'm buying silver bullets. That's it.
Yeah.
They'll do good against the regular two-legged predator. Now they have an ability to go against the cryptids now, and that's a commercial thing. It's not like I have to make it up or order these custom. No, you can go to Winchester and buy them right now.
you can make them yourself at home too. You guys are
there's that too. Yeah,
each having silver brass knuckles. Like that's just
that would be
fun,
awesome. Yeah.
Or the ninja claws, the climbing shuko or whatever they're called, like having something like that, or just a bunch of silver rings, that he can don and things like that, or, having a silver dagger or one of a wooden tanto that's, sharpened. So it's, if he gets pulled over, what's all this? These are my martial art equipment, it's fun. It's fun for the character too. Like I could just see him opening up his, weapon cache, and it's got all the different martial art weapons, katanas and all that. One katana is a black blade. What is that? Oh, that's what you use against whatever. Just cool, comic book shit.
Yeah.
Not just all tech weapons,
Yeah, that wood knife will be a permanent thing for Adesso.
Yeah.
And I guess that have to do something else. Like I don't know, something.
Silver
I'll have to think
bullets are
about it.
great, dude. And then you could also do ones that are like, like what were the ones that they
White
had?
oak, ash, holy water.
Yeah,
the
like just
works.
stuff like that. You got
Everybody
like
gets the Hellboy reference.
we got that little squirt gun with water,
Yeah.
water balloons.
Exactly. I carry around a super squirter filled with holy water and garlic essence. What the hell?
By blammo.
By Blammo. That's funny. Well, I
Alrighty.
think we're going to end it right here.
Right on, brother.
Unless you guys have any more questions or any more insight to this AP.
No, all good. Time to get dinner.
Yeah, I'm looking, and I thought Ernest was going to make a comeback sometime.
No.
Like he got taken over, but
I will tell you this. I had considered bringing him in, and but I figured that I settled to the point where there was too many things out there, and I didn't want to keep reducing your damage. I mean, that's just unfair.
yeah.
Especially in this kind of setting where the rules, you really don't just chug a healing potion or something like that. So I had to
And we had
mitigate.
3 things we were fighting.
Yeah.
2 at a time, but 3 total.
Yeah. I mean, I expected Odessa to pick that baby up and throw it over the balcony, Michael Jackson, or
I
something
thought
like
it was
that.
going to the bed, but it grew too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bed.
And I forgot because I heard the slurping and the plurping and all that. I'm like, dude, that thing just had a baby. But I forgot about it because we're in the heat of combat, the literal heat of the bedroom combat,
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you forgot about that.
Yeah.
Did end
a nice
it did
surprise.
add a particular spice to it.
Yeah. You
Well-
just got to wear shin guards more often. I think.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, it frees me up to start spending some time putting the next one together, too.
Nice.
But, all right, gentlemen, this is where we will end it and say goodnight.
Awesome, brothers. Thanks for
Until
listening,
next
everybody.
time. Aye.
Yeah.
Thank you, all my fellow slinging agents in the wild. Please write us in at rollthehard20podcast@gmail.com. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're over on YouTube at rollthehard20. Check out all of our past archives, audio videos. We usually try to leave the after action report as a raw video, provided we don't bash or damage anybody too bad. And I got to edit it. This one seems okay. So, not bad. All right. Well, take it easy. Have a good night. We'll see you next season.
Cheers.
Next season, keep faith.
Good night.